Ohio pro-Palestine protests remain relatively calm. Welcome to Columbus on the Record. Another large group of pro-Palestinian protesters gathered at Ohio State University this week. The protest came a week after 36 demonstrators were arrested for not leaving the South Oval when asked. This week, there were no arrests, just chanting, singing, and prayers. After a few hours, the leaders of the protest said, "It's time to go," and they did. Police were there, but played only an observer's role. It was a much different scene than what UCLA, Columbia, and Wisconsin saw at their protests this week. Morgan Harper, why do you think the Ohio State protests were more calm than what we saw in UCLA or Columbia?
Well, I'm also hearing varying accounts of what exactly the tone was at some of these other campuses compared to what we see in the media coverage. So hard to say for sure, but I think ultimately, the students are bringing attention to a lot of the loss of life that's happening in connection to the Gaza conflict. We also need to continue to focus on the fact that there are hostages that haven't been returned. But I think overall, there's been a lot of concern about the method of protest and the nature and the timing of protest. But I do think it's important to stay focused on what's the actual issue that's being discussed and the lives involved.
Yeah, that was a professor at OSU said, look, if the debate's all over free speech, they lose their message, because that's not what they're there for. They're here to support Palestinians in Gaza and call for changes in how the war is being fought. Gene, police at Ohio State did not allow the encampment to take hold. There was some argument that they should, if the tents aren't causing a problem, they should let them stay overnight. But then, as you saw in UCLA, the encampment became more of a barricade, and it really got out of control. So was it the right call not to allow the tents to stay?
Yeah, and I really have to say that you can always nitpick around the edges, but basically Ohio State's done this response just about right. They've recognized the rights for free speech, but they've also recognized, and I think this may go to somewhat of the population of the student body, is that their parents have sacrificed a lot to get them here. It's not cheap, and they've worked hard, and the student body here understands this is a right they need to. Being able to go to class is something they need to respect.
Jesse, the memories of the 2020 protests, both the Black Lives Matter protests in 2020 and also the anti-shutdown protests we saw at the State House. It's still fresh in all of our memories. Do you think that had an influence on how these were handled?
I think each cause is really specific to the concerns at the time, and the students are bringing up something entirely different, and so different locations and everything. So it's hard for me to compare each of them. Yeah.
Well, Columbus Police, they're not on the same page as OSU at the very least. OSU says the Columbus Police say OSU requested them to come and help with the protest last week with their arrest. Columbus Police say they declined, and because they basically didn't like what they were going to be asked to do. What do you make of that, Morgan? Because they took a lot of heat after the Black Lives Matter protest.
Yeah, I'm certainly not involved in the conversations between either of those forces, but I have noted, and I've been part of different actions related to, for example, some of the utility work that we've done where you engage in the dialogue team from the Columbus Police Department. I do think that was one of the adjustments they made after 2020. In some ways, folks weren't used to seeing large-scale protests with hundreds of people, and you make some accommodations there. The other thing I would note, though, is there are still, I believe, about 40 people that got charges, criminal trespassing, and it doesn't seem like that's probably the best use of resources for prosecution. So hopefully those charges will be dropped, especially since we've seen that the protests, are being managed in a fairly responsible way here.
Yeah, as City Attorney Zach Klein indicated, that might happen. Those cases were originally continued, and the thinking is that because there was just trespassing, there was no resisting arrest or vandalism or anything like that. Should the university leaders who didn't meet with the protesters here that we know of at OSU, Gene, should they? They've met at other campuses.
They probably made the right call. And this is going to sound horrifying to some folks, but I remember quite well and lived through the 1968, 1969 student riots. Okay, I was in high school, but our teachers and our student teachers came in and told us what it was like on their college campuses during that. And to give you a case as to how much better they handled it this time, in 68 and 69, they would, in addition to shooting and killing 4 kids at Kent State, which still gets, as you can tell, my blood pressure is going up just remembering that. And no one got charged ever for that murder. But they were indiscriminately throwing tear gas around college campuses, which meant we didn't have air conditioning back then. It was a warm May, all the windows were open, and all of a sudden, all those students had to empty their buildings, adding to the chaos. They've learned a lot, and they've been much more restrained. And I think once again, I go back to and say they've done a good job. But boy, that Kent State thing, my reaction on that still surprises me to this day.
Yes, the anniversary is this weekend.
Yeah.
Social media. We have more air conditioning now. We also have more social media, Jesse. That has 2 different effects on the protest. It can organize protests, but it also can take things out of context, can spread rumors and things like that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the challenges. You also see politicians weighing in almost immediately, contemporaneously to the events, and I've already had ads cut in the U.S. Senate race. Republicans are accusing Democrats of being too soft on this issue. Democrats are saying, that we want to respect free speech, but also want students to follow the rules. And so, almost immediately this became a political issue in Ohio.
Will it change anything, Morgan?
The
protest, yeah.
I think it already has. I mean, having this level of wide-scale action across the country, having this many young people that are speaking out, with, maybe not a perfectly in unison message, but fairly consistently saying we are questioning the use of resources, U.S. resources here in this conflict and some of the impacts of that. And I think the politics here are also very interesting because, getting back to the U.S. Senate race, we saw Bernie Moreno kind of go in a different direction from his partner here, J.D. Vance, who usually follows pretty closely in lockstep with. J.D. Vance, in his position of not wanting to send aid to support Ukraine or Israel, finds himself in an odd position of being somewhat consistent with the student protests. So I think the alignment here, the coalition around questioning some of this spending is diverse in certain ways, and it'll be interesting to see how it affects long-term U.S. foreign policy making.
All right. Supporters of raising Ohio's minimum wage continue to collect signatures to get an amendment on the fall ballot. If they collect the signatures and if voters approve, Ohio's minimum wage would rise to $15 an hour. It now stands at $10.45. Tipped employees would also qualify for the $15 minimum wage. They now make $5.25 an hour. This week, a Republican state lawmaker introduced a bill that would raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour more quickly, but only provide a modest increase for tipped workers. State Senator Bill Blessing of suburban Cincinnati says his bill would be better for workers and for businesses. Jesse Balmert, Senator Blessing has not supported a raise in the minimum wage before. Why the change in heart?
Yeah, so I think Republican senators, including Bill Blessing, see that this is an issue that's popular with voters, that if it gets on the ballot, it's likely to pass, and so are proposing an alternative, whether this is, the 11th hour to propose an alternative or whether this is a really viable solution is something that they're going to debate in the legislature. But to your point, there are a few key differences. One is that the tipped workers would only increase to $7.50. It would happen over through 2028 versus the ballot measure would be a little bit quicker. There's also this refundable earned income tax credit, which is something that Democrats have been pushing for quite some time, and we're kind of intrigued to see it in there. So we'll see what kind of progress this package gets, and particularly given the state of the Ohio legislature right now and their ability to pass legislation.
How much are lawmakers watching what happened with marijuana and with the abortion rights amendment, Gene, to try to preempt this vote in November?
I think that I think Senator Bill Blessing is taking a very politically astute and strategic step here by trying to seize the moral high ground on this with the tax credits and other things like that. I think it's leaving aside all the policy implications on all sides of this, but politically, this was brilliant.
Is this a good idea, Morgan? Lawmakers would increase the minimum wage, maybe get this tax credit, give more money to folks who are on the lower income scale?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very, very popular policy issue. And so I do think, this bill is coming partly in response to what some might describe as a threat, others as an opportunity of the direct democracy option of ballot initiative that we have in Ohio and the prior successes. And look, I mean, we don't know, though, how things will go in the legislature, so I still think this ballot initiative is quite important. It is different and weaker in certain respects, and more than anything, it could be further watered down through the legislative process. So making sure that the ballot initiative passed, I think, is going to continue to be a priority for a lot of progressive, independent, people that care about folks just having enough money to get by throughout Ohio.
Does this have support, Jesse, in the legislature?
It's hard to say. Some of these ideas are ideas that Republicans haven't gotten behind before. Things like increasing the minimum wage to $15, things like making this tax credit refundable versus the current method where, if you kind of hit a point where the credit is more than what you owe, you don't get money back, you don't get a refund. So this would potentially change that if it passed. Those are ideas that Democrats are pretty excited about, but they're also maybe excited about this ballot initiative too.
Would Democrats support this bill when they're looking at getting this issue on the ballot and having it help their candidates in the fall?
It's one of those things. They could pass this and then also try to pass the constitutional amendment. The amendment would trump this and you might be left with this tax credit. So it depends on how strategic everyone wants to be.
The tipped employees getting equal minimum wage, because they're always been paid less because the thinking is that the tips get their wages up, but the employers don't have to pay. It's the customer that pays. Is that a good idea? Just have one minimum wage no matter what you're doing, whether you're a dishwasher or a server?
That's how the Europeans do it. And I'll tell you what my personal solution was for this. I've said this before on the show. Several years ago, for 15 months, I tipped consistently at 40%. And my budget stayed the same. The servers got a lot more money. The restaurant got a lot less because I ordered water and not iced tea, for example.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that I've been talking about this for, 5 or 6 years now. And at no point in time has anybody who supports increasing the minimum wage for servers has ever said, that's a great idea, I'm going to do it. Because you need to actually do this 40% tipping between now and November to actually understand how this impacts you, yourself, the server, and the restaurant. And if you do this, more restaurants will go out of business because their margins will decline.
That's the argument, Morgan, is that restaurants won't be able to afford, smaller restaurants won't be able to afford to pay their folks if they get a $10 an hour raise.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in this era right now of folks kind of reevaluating how certain business models work and whether or not they're meeting our goals as a community, as a society, as an economy. And there's no doubt that a lot of people are exploited by having the tipped wage, and especially when they're in restaurants that don't have as much revenue, maybe not as fancy of an environment. And this is trying to bring some equity there. But overall, we see when the minimum wage is increased, it doesn't have a lot of the detrimental impacts that folks like to point to. It continues to keep the economy strong. So it'll be interesting, though, how it applies to the restaurant industry and how that all plays out.
How does this play out in the campaign? Is that when you're arguing for it or against this amendment to vote for it? I mean, that's going to be a major thing for the opponents, that the restaurants will go out of business. Your restaurant bill will go up because your tipped workers are now going to be making a lot more money.
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising the Ohio Restaurant Association and groups like that have come out pretty strongly against this proposal, concerned about closure of small businesses or so forth. And so that is the conversation that we're going to be having between now and November if this makes the ballot.
Yeah. All right. This week featured another battle in the feud between House Speaker Jason Stephens and Senate President Matt Huffman and their supporters. Huffman next year likely will move to the House because of term limits, and he wants to be Speaker, he says. Stephens wants to keep his job. The rivalry has divided House members, and this week Stephens purged 6 Republicans from their committee chairmanships. They all voted against Stephens for Speaker last year, and they gave donations to the primary campaigns of opponents of incumbent Republicans. Gene Krebs, have you ever seen, you served and you've watched the legislature for a long time, a move like this where 6 chairmen are stripped of their post?
Well, I've never seen it, but I'm not surprised because when I fetched up there 32 years ago now, I was cautioned, whatever you do, make sure that neither you nor your spouse ever give any money to, for example, to a Democrat candidate. Doesn't matter if that's your brother-in-law, sister, whatever. Don't give them any money. And two, don't financially support anybody running against one of your colleagues. We will shun you.
It's an unwritten rule.
Yeah, well, not written down, but,
Yes.
but extolled to freshmen repeatedly with a 2x4 across the forehead, let me tell you. And what you're seeing now from these folks is it's just so perfectly following all the historical patterns. There's too many of the ruling elites in the Ohio House and in the Senate, and they're having these battles. And it's just going to continue. It's just going to get worse. But it's a problem.
All these unwritten rules, Jesse, are going out the window. There has been the Democrats don't vote for a Republican speaker. Republican speakers don't look for Democrats to get the job. All these norms have been tossed aside.
Yeah, I mean, really, former Ohio House Speaker Larry Householder was elected with support from Democrats. The most recent House Speaker was elected with support of Democrats. You're seeing organizations get involved in the primary in ways that they really haven't before. A lot of spending on these races, running against one's own party. So it's just a whole different world. But the consequences for you and me, for the average voter, are, pieces of legislation that are not going forward, or maybe going forward much quicker than they would have edgewise. So there is a real life impact of this kind of palace intrigue.
Democrats could be called on, Morgan, to play a role in this sooner, if not later, when the next speaker is elected officially after the next election. What role should they play? Should they just try to get the best deal they can out of whoever runs?
I think so. I mean, there's an opportunity to gain leverage. We saw that happen before. But I do think it's interesting, getting back to the primary point, too. I mean, given the level of gerrymandering, the primary is all you've got. And so I do think this is going to continue to happen. And this whole idea that you're going to be able to maintain order as a party and enforce these norms I think that's out the window here. And it's frustrating to regular people who don't really care that much about the party machinations. Yeah. They just want people to do their jobs.
This is inside baseball. It's important baseball, but it's inside baseball. Can supporters of the redistricting amendment, Gene, use this as an example why we need to fix the system?
It's a target-rich environment. And I'll go back to October of 22. Baldwin Wallace did a poll. 6% of the Ohio legislature is deemed by the general public of doing an excellent job. Now, my mentor, John Boehner, once said to me, Krebsy, anytime you get below 9%, that's friends and family territory. Well, that means 1/3 of their own friends and family don't like the job they're doing. Guys and gals, you've got to realize when you're digging a hole, you put down the shovel. You just stop this digging.
That's what my wife tells me all the time. Anyway.
But like they're calling Stevens a dictator. Vern Reif bugged my phone and had my office rifled every Wednesday night. Okay, you want to talk about dictators? No, Stevens isn't a dictator. Don't besmirch the term.
Yeah. All right, let's get to our next topic. Former Ohio Treasurer and three-time U.S. Senate candidate Josh Mandel is back in the news. He and his ex-wife face contempt of court charges and even jail time for violating terms of their divorce agreements. An Ashland County magistrate found Josh and Elena Mandel made unauthorized visits to each other's homes, and they continue to fight over their children's finances and expenses. The Mandels' divorce has been in the news for about 4 years. They filed for divorce in a county where they did not live, and a different Ashland County judge sealed those court records. The Cincinnati Enquirer eventually and successfully sued to get access to those records. Gene Krebs, stepping back from the records debate for a moment, but Josh Mandel was a promising young Republican, elected to treasurer fairly early in his career, but now it's a different trajectory for his career. What happened?
As you've heard me say before, your strengths can be your weaknesses can be your strengths. He was highly ambitious and sought a higher office to quell some inner demons, I believe. And those inner demons have now come back out, and they've haunted him through a marriage, and is still haunting him through all this still.
Jesse, you worked for the Cincinnati Enquirer as part of the USA Today Ohio network. The paper fought to get these records opened. It took a while. What was the What was the basis for that? Why did the media want these records?
Yeah, I would say the logic behind it was that these records were sealed by a judge who was not in the county where they were living. It seemed very obvious that they were kind of shopping for a judge. And then there was no hearing, no debate, no discussion about whether these should be sealed in a situation where, in most cases, these are open public records. At the time, he was a candidate for U.S. Senate, and so I just wanted to be transparent with the public at that time.
Morgan, divorces can be really nasty and ugly, and things are said, accusations are made, and especially if there are kids involved, it's really not a good business. Should these records be public?
Well, I do think and trust me, I've lived through one of those divorces as a child, so totally understand that there's a need for privacy. But when you put yourself out there as a public figure, then you are opening your family up to a certain level of scrutiny. And especially, as Jesse mentioned, he was a candidate when a lot of this was going on. And the public does have a right to know how you conduct yourself, I think. And so, yeah, I do think there's a need for transparency here, and especially making sure that media has access to properly cover folks who might represent us.
When people come to me and say, I'm looking to run, I say, you have to understand, the higher you move up the political food chain, the less civil rights and rights to privacy you have. And you get to be the very top. The president, everybody wants to see your tax returns.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody wants to see your health records. You have zero privacy at that level. And Josh Mandel has, unfortunately for him, encountered the same thing here.
But, you know, when you get divorced, you may not be a candidate for office. You may not be a public figure. Those records are public, too. But should they be, I guess, is the question. For your friends and neighbors to rifle through it and see it, especially online. All right, let's get to our last topic, sports. A few more details are emerging about plans for a new Browns stadium in or near Cleveland. The latest plan is about $2.5 billion. It would cost $2.5 billion. It's a dome stadium just outside of the city near the Cleveland airport. It is so close to the airport that plans call for much of the stadium to be built below ground so they don't get in the way of the planes. As for who might pay for the stadium, Cleveland.com reports the owners of the Browns want local and state taxpayers to cover half the cost. Jesse Balmert, how excited are state lawmakers to help pay for a new stadium?
Well, they have helped pay for stadiums before, so I've not seen a lot of opposition to this so far. It does seem like it's a little bit out. It might come in the next budget or the capital budget after that. But we've seen money go towards like the FC Cincinnati project, the Crew, other stadiums. So I imagine there would be some support for this.
Morgan, in bigger cities, Boston, New York, Los Angeles, the owners pay for their own stadiums. Why do you think other cities in the middle of the country and other states help pay for these stadiums?
Because we haven't gotten with the program yet. I mean, the research indicates that these are complete wastes of money. They don't actually improve the economy around them. They're a total boondoggle. And so to continue to use taxpayer resources to fund this type of a stadium over education, health needs is bonkers, and we should run away from these types of subsidies as quickly as we can.
You know, the owner's probably not going to move the team out of New York, so maybe they doesn't have as much leverage. But we saw the Browns move. Gene, is that we almost saw the Columbus Crew move until they got a stadium.
Right. And now we have the war of the warring white papers on this topic. Then is that I've also seen some economists who say it's at best a wash. Okay. The best investment for your public dollar for spending your bond obligations, of course, is a new sewer plant. But my main concern with the location of it out Brook Park is security. Right over that airplane pathway, it becomes, I think, too tempting a terrorist target.
Yeah, people up in Cleveland say it's just not a convenient spot. You know, it's hard to get to. There's a Ford plant nearby, but.
Well, we got to compare our resources here, because I've got a resource that's looking at 130 studies over 30 years showing that there's no impact. And if at best we're getting a wash, that's not good. And the other thing that's interesting here is usually the argument against these things is you're anti-business, you don't really care about the economy. But in Chicago, we're seeing that Pritzker, no one could deny that he is a huge business guy. The governor is saying, get this thing away from us. You want your stadium, pay for it yourself.
Yeah, and don't forget the other stadiums that are the same vintage, Bengals Stadium, Progressive Field where the Guardians play, Nationwide Arena, 25 years old. May they be up next. Who knows? Let's get to our final off-the-record parting shots. Gene Krebs, you're up first.
So a quote from a recent white paper from Brookings was titled, "Democracy is good for the economy. Can business defend it?" I'm going to give you one quote out of it. "Democratic decline is often associated with a multitude of economic bads, including instability, brain drain, stagnation, and kleptocracy," unquote. The question for business is, are you going to take action? Are you going to get involved in this? Are you going to take steps to begin to strengthen democracy? Because it is good for business, but you better hurry up and get with this program quickly.
Morgan.
So there's a debate going on nationally about airline refunds, and the Department of Transportation put out a rule that would make airlines pay refunds automatically if there's a cancellation or a significant delay. And Congress is now trying to propose legislation that would put the onus back on us as consumers to fight that battle with the airlines. So hopefully it all turns out the right way, automatic refunds, but we'll have to see how that works.
Jesse.
Yeah, I guess talking about stadiums, if you're not yet on the Columbus Crew bandwagon, I'd say they're a lot of fun to watch right now. My soccer career ended at about the third grade, and I have no idea what stoppage time means, but they're just a great team to watch right now.
It is a fun venue to watch a game. For those who think the Browns would have a better chance at a new stadium, publicly funded new stadium, if they were better, I point to the Kansas City Chiefs, just won their second Super Bowl in a row, and voters rejected overwhelmingly their bid for a higher tax to renovate their stadium. That is Columbus on the Record for this week. Continue the conversation on Facebook, and you can watch us anytime on your time, wosu.org/COTR. We're also on YouTube and the PBS video app. For our crew and our panel, I'm Mike Thompson. Have a good week.